ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। So now Bhagwan Shankaracharya has started talking about the Tvam Padartha. Now you may recollect from whatever we have studied in the previous sessions, one may recollect that when Atma Anatma Viveka was talked about, what was described as Atma by Lord Shankara or prescribed or described by our scriptures, whatever is described in the form of Atma, the same description is going to be applied to the Tvam Padartha also. Because we must know by now, from Bhagavad Gita lessons also we know that ultimately, what is my Swarupam? What is this me? What is this Tvam Pada? Tvam means what you. The Guru is saying that Tvam Asi, that you are. What is that you? What is the Tvam Padartha? The meaning of you. For me, it is meaning of I. For the Guru, it is the meaning of you. So when the Guru was talking about Atma Anatma Viveka and described what this Atma is in contrast to what Anatma is, and ultimately said the Lakshanas of Atma were given, it is in no way different from what is going to be talked now by Shankaracharya. The scriptures give the same description for Atma and Tvam Padartha because Tvam Padartha is nothing but the Atma. So, who am I? I am not the Anatma. I am that Atma. So, what is this Tvam Padartha? The teacher is talking about myself. So, when the Guru is talking about Tvam, I have to take it as Aham. When the Guru says, you are Nityam, you are infinite, then I have to understand that I am infinite. When the Guru says, you are Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma, I should take it as I am that Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma which the teacher is talking about. So you might find here that there is a lot of repetition, but it is not repetition. Repetition is called abhyasa in our scriptures. Abhyasa means by repeatedly studying this, by repeatedly going over it, by repeatedly mulling over it, contemplating over it, our doubts are many times taken care of. Because Atma Anatma Viveka is not a very, very easy topic to understand. Like somebody asked me a question, is this I the Ahankara or is it the Atma? When I do not know that I am the Atma, I consider myself to be the Ahankara. This Ahankara is the false I, it is not the real I. When the I, when the real I, when the Tvam Padartha is done, is veiled by Maya Shakti, by the Avarana Shakti of Maya, when the actual Swarupam of me as the Tvam Padartha is veiled, then there is a projection of a false I. What is this I? This I we call as Ahankara. Every one of us function with an I notion, isn't it? I notion. I am the doer. I am the enjoyer. I am seeing. I am doing. Now, what is this I? This is a false sense of I-ness in this ahankara. Now, this ahankara is also I, according to me, now, right now, because I do not know my real nature as I. But when I understand my real nature, who I really am, by Atma Anatma Viveka, then I understand that all these days, that Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is the doer, which is the thinker, which is the knower, which is the understander, if there is a word like that, a thing which understands, and I mistook myself, I considered myself to be that Vijnanamaya, what we call as Ahankara. The Jiva also can be called Ahankara because the Jiva functions with an I notion. What is this I notion? For most of us, for most of the ignorant people like us, the I notion is Vijnanamaya Ahankara. It's only for a jnani who has understood what really the I means. For him, for such a jnani, I means that Atma. And this is what we are supposed to know. This is what the Vivekachudamani or our scriptures are trying to make us understand, that what you think of yourself as the I is false. It is mithya. It is not the real you. It is a projected you. It is a mistaken you. You are mistaking yourself to be the body, mind, sense complex and thinking of yourself to be a doer, knower, enjoyer, which is nothing but a false impression of the I. It is not the real I. I can call it the false I. Some books call it as the small I. There is nothing called the small I or the big I. But then the I notion, where I do not know the reality of I do not know what is the real I, and I mistake myself to be anything other than the real I, that I is called as Ahankara, where I have a sense of doership. But what am I really? The Shastra says that you really are not that Ahankara. You are not that false I which is projected because of the veiling of yourself. You are that Purnatva Swarupa Atma. You are that Nitya Shuddha Buddha Atma. Once you understand this, once you understand the nature of yourself to be that Purna Sat Chit Ananda Atma, as explained Satyam Jnanam Anantam Sat Chit Ananda Atma in the Upanishads, once you understand that, this false I or the Ahankara just drops away. I see myself for what I am. Right now, I might see myself as the Ahankara, the false projected I. But what am I really? I am really the Atma, which is the meaning of Tvam Padartha. What is the meaning of Tvam Padartha? Tvam or you, the Guru says, is not this Ahankara, not this projected I, but that original Bimba Chaitanya, the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, that consciousness Swarupi Atma, that is the real meaning of you. That is the real meaning of the Tvam Padartha. Therefore, it may look as though in Atma Anatma Viveka, also in a few sessions earlier, we studied the same features, Swarupa Lakshanas of Atma. And now, when we are talking about the Tvam Padartha also, we are talking about the same Atma, because the real Tvam Padartha is nothing but that Atma which was described in the Atma Anatma Viveka. Why should the Tvam Padartha be described? Now, the complete knowledge or Samyak Darshanam, we have seen this term Samyak Darshanam, the correct knowledge, the correct vision of Vedanta is to tell me that you, the Tvam Padartha, you, the Atma, is not different from that Tat or Brahman. Vedanta says Tat Brahma Tvam Atma Asi. That Brahman you are. This equation of non division or Abheda between me, the Atma, and Brahman, which is nothing but the consciousness which is behind the entire universe, there is no difference at all. Jiva Ishvara Abheda, which we talked about in detail from the 13th chapter onwards in Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th, 14th, and 15th chapters, we talked, Lord Krishna talked about this particular Mahavakya Vichara, saying that Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata, and you are not the kshetra but you are the kshetrajna. You are that consciousness principle which is there in this body mind sense complex, in that body mind sense complex, behind every body mind sense complex, and that is the very adhishtanam of the entire Jagat also. So, Mahavakya Vichara is the ultimate teaching, that is the culmination of the teaching of Vedanta. What is Mahavakya? A great equation that equates the Jiva with Ishvara, that equates Atma with Brahman, individual with the total, Jiva Ishvara Abheda, Jiva Brahma Abheda, Atma Brahma Abheda. It makes me see that I, the consciousness, which I call as Atma, with reference to myself, and that Brahman, Tat Padartha, that Brahman, which is that consciousness, which is the basis of the entire manifest universe, is not different from me. I, the Atma, and that Brahman are not different from each other. This is what is the ultimate teaching of Vedanta, and the Vivekachudamani is slowly coming towards that particular teaching. And therefore, Bhagwan Shankaracharya is now coming to the description of the Tvam Padartha, which is nothing but the Atma, which we have seen in the Atma Anatma Viveka. So we saw in the last session, we saw 211th verse where the Atma or the Tvam Padartha were described. So my purpose of taking so much time is to make you understand that Tvam Padartha and Atma are not different from each other. The very nature of the Tvam Padartha is Atma. What is Tvam? What is you? When the teacher says you, it is nothing but Atma. When I say I, what is it? It is nothing but Atma. So Tvam Pada Vichara is Atma Vichara. In Bhagavad Gita, in the second chapter, from the 12th verse up till the 25th verse, Atma Vichara was talked about by Bhagwan Krishna as to what that Atma is, what that Tvam Padartha is. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit, achaloyam sthanuhu puranaha. All these descriptions that were given for the Atma are the descriptions for the Tvam Padartha. So now in the verse 211, what did we see? We saw Yo ayam Atma Swayam Jyotihi. This Atma is nothing but that light of consciousness, Svayam Jyotihi Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. This Atma I'm other than the five koshas which have been described in the last few sessions. We have seen what this Anatma is. Anatma was divided into Shariratraya and Panchakosha. What are these Panchakoshas? Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, iti. The five koshas were described and they were talked about. So he says, this Atma is a self-revealing consciousness. It reveals itself, Swayam Jyotihi, and it is Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. It is other than the five koshas. Then what is it? It is Avasthatraya Sakshi. It is Avasthatraya Sakshi San Nirvikaro Niranjanaha. Sad Anandaha Sa Vigneyaha Svatmatvena Vipaschita. Vipaschita means by a discriminating person, by a person who is a Viveki, who can discriminate. A person who can discriminate has to see oneself to be this Atma and not Anatma. Then what is Anatma? Let us say, now understand the word Mithya, because in the next verse we are going to get that word Mithya, which I already explained in the last session. Now it is said that Anatma is Mithya. What is the meaning of Mithya? Mithya does not mean it is not there. Mithya does not mean it is not experienced. It is an experiential reality, but really speaking, it is not there. That explanation which we gave for Maya. Maya is Mithya. Why? It is something which I experience, but really speaking, it is not there. Let us take a few examples of this. I see mirage water on sand in a desert. For experience, there is water. Water is an experiential reality. There is water on the sand experientially. But really speaking, is there water there? There is no water there. There is only sand. This experience of water over the sand in mirage, which is a mere appearance, which is not the truth, which is not the reality, but for the moment it appears as if it is the reality, such a thing is called as mithya. Another example we'll take of that of the dream state in dream. In dream, when I'm dreaming, the dream appears to be absolutely real. I cannot understand in dream that I'm dreaming. But when I wake up, the dream is mithya, I understand. What is the meaning of mithya? It was there. I did experience it. It was very well experienced. But when I wake up, I realize that the dream is not there at all. It was an experiential reality. It is not the absolute reality. When another example, let us take that of a movie over the screen. The movie is experienced. I even forget the screen. I don't even see the screen. The movie is real. I cry with the heroine and I, get very, very much, pushed by the hero in all with all his antics and his activities. I laugh with the comedian. I feel at that time when I'm enjoying the movie, I feel that it is real. But I know, even while watching the movie itself, I'm aware that it is not real. But still, I enjoy the movie. I still experience the movie. I gave the example of magic in the last sessions when we dealt with Maya. Maya and Mithya, they go together. Maya is Mithya. Mithya is Maya. That which is but appears to be but really not there. There, if you can't say it is not there. At the same time, you can't say that it is there. Magic. I experience it, I enjoy it, I pay money for it, go and sit there for 2 hours and watch it. But then what is it? It is really not there. I experience a sunrise, I experience a sunset. Is really sunset there? Sunrise there? No. But still, I make use of the experience. I say sunrise time, sunset time, and I plan all my activities according to the sunrise and sunset time. Is really the sunset there? It is experienced, but really it is not there. Therefore, sunset, sunrise experience is mithya. Similarly, what our scriptures say is all the five koshas that you have talked about, all the three bodies that we have talked about are mere experiential realities. They are products of Maya. Because they are products of Maya, they are not real. They are not absolutely absent also. They are present. It's not as if they are absent. The Stula Shariram is very much there. I am experiencing it. Sukshma Shariram is there. Karana Shariram I am very much experiencing during sleep. All my five koshas are experienced by me and by others also. But then ultimately, this is only an experiential reality. Therefore, the Pancha Koshas are mithya. They are only experiential realities. The only reality is Atma. The only Satyam is Atma. The entire Anatma, Jagat is only names and forms, mithya. Let us take another example. Let us take a pot, a clay pot. What is a pot? Pot is only a name and form for clay. What is the reality? Clay is the reality. What is a pot? Only name and form. Similarly, our scriptures, Vedanta says that you, the Atma, is the only reality. The Anatma body mind sense complex, the Panchakoshas are mithya. They are purely existent, they are not, they are just there as experiential reality. That is the meaning of mithya. Mithya also means that which doesn't have an independent existence of its own, it depends on something else. Like a movie projected has no independent existence of its own, it depends upon the screen. The dream in me does not have an independent existence of its own. The dreamer depends on me, the waker. Similarly, The mirage water, the water does not have independent existence of its own. But to appear, it depends upon what? It depends upon the sand underneath. Similarly, what is said here is that this anatma body mind sense complex has no independent existence of its own. It depends upon the atma, it depends upon the tvam padartha. The atma is the only reality, anatma is mithya. That is what is the teaching that is talked about in the tvam padartha, which also Bhagwan Krishna talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, in the next verse, in the 212th verse, there is a very, very valid question put by the Shishya. So here he says, मिथ्यात्वेन निषिद्धेषु कोशेष्वेतेषु पञ्चसु सर्वाभावं विना किञ्चित् न पश्याम्यत्र हे गुरो विज्ञेयं किमु वस्त्वस्ति स्वात्मनात्मविपश्चिता. So here the student, the Shishya is asking a very, very, very valid question. He says, Mithyattvena nishiddheshu kosheshu yeteshu panchasu. Now, hey Guru, you have refused or rejected the Panchakoshas as anatma. You have rejected the entire Panchakosha as mithya. The Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya are Nishiddheshu Kosheshu. Nishiddha. Nishiddha means they have been negated. How have they been negated? They have not been negated as absent. They have not been negated as not present. They have been negated as mithya. They have been negated as what? Mithya. So you say all the five layers of the Sanatma koshas are mithya. They're as good as not existent. They don't have an independent existence. They depend on me, the Atma, you say. And then you say that Sarva, and what do then you say you are not the body, you are not the, this one, what is that, Pranamaya, you are not the Manomaya, you are not the Vijnanamaya, you are not the Anandamaya. Okay, I accept. I am not the Annamaya Kosha. Fine, I accept. Because I have come to this level of inquiry, therefore I am not the Annamaya. All right, I accept. I am not the Pranamaya. That also I have Shraddha in you and the Shastra, I accept. Not the Manomaya, not the Vijnanamaya, not the Anandamaya. That also I accept. Sarva abhavam vina kinchit na pashyami atra. But after I have negated all these five koshas according to your teaching, I don't see anything. Where is that Atma? I don't see anything. So this is what, we are all trained. We always feel that if there is a vastu, if there is something, it should be available for perception. Objectification is the very work of the mind. Unless I see something as an object, I don't accept it. I have to experience it as an object. I have to perceive it as an object. Then only I say that it is there. But hey, Guru, you are saying that these five koshas are negated because they are mithya. All right, I have negated. And then you say, whatever is remaining, other than this Panchakosha Vilakshana, there is an Atma. Asti Kaschita. We saw that in the previous. Asti Kaschit. There is something. There is some Vastu. There is something which at the end of negating the Anatma, it is there. You say something is there, but I don't see anything. I'm not able to make out anything. I see only abhava. I see only absence. When you say there is absence of panchakoshas, I accept, but then I should see the vastu. I should experience this vastu which you call as Atma. Where is it? How do I know that I am Atma? Where is this Atma? See, when we see space, when we experience space, we don't see space. We don't see or perceive the space by any of our sense organs. Correct? But then, only thing is that the space conducts sound, that's all. But otherwise, that space is present. that it is there. How do I know? I have no idea that the space is present at all. But I infer. By inference, I understand that space is there because it is giving opportunity for things to exist. Where else can things exist? I am sitting here. Where am I sitting? I am sitting in space. Everything is existing in space. Everything is being present in space. Therefore, I infer space. I don't see it. I don't experience it. Similarly, Atma is something which is very subtler, which is subtler than space. Now, after having negated the Panchakoshas as mithya, I don't see this Atma. I don't experience this Atma. I can't even infer something. To infer something, also, I should have some kind of a pramana to infer something. At least in space, though I don't see it, I can infer because there are things present in the space. Therefore, I can infer. Whereas Atma, how do I infer? So it is beyond objectification. It is beyond inference. Whatever are my pratyaksha pramana, anumana pramana, none of these pramanas are working. Then how do I know that this particular Atma is there? I only see Abhava, I only see the absence. But you say that there is something called as Atma. I don't see anything. Sarva Abhavam Vina Kinchit na Pashyami Atra. Na kinchit pashyami. I don't see anything. I can't infer anything. I can't even, imagine that there is something after having negated. All these days I thought I was this body, mind, sense complex, whatever it is, at least there was something to hold on to. But now I find that I'm not even this physical body. This physical body is merely an experiential reality. Really speaking, it is not there at all. It was not there when it was born, and it won't be there when it is going to not going to be there. So I know very well that I'm not the body. I trust you and I have understood. But having negated the anatma, the panchakoshas, where am I? Where is this I, which you have been pointing? You have been saying, Yo ayam atma swayam jyotihi, panchakosha vilakshanaha, avasthatraya sakshi, niranjanaha, nirvikaraha. All these things you are telling me. But where is it? I am not able to see that. Hey Guru, I am not able to see that. Vigneyam kimu vastu asti. How do I know that such a vastu is there? How do I know that such an Atma is there? You say that Atma is Satyam, but it is not meant for objectification. Atma cannot be objectified. It can be understood only by negating what it is not. By negating what it is not, by negating the Mithya Anatma, you say that whatever is remaining is Atma, but I don't see it. Vigneyam kimu vastu asti? What is that vastu which is to be known? You are saying that a vipaschita, a viveki should know this. A viveki knows this particular atma. What is it to be known? Where is it to be known? What is there left to be known? Swatmana atma vipaschita. Swatmana. Okay, swatmana atma. That I am that atma. I am that atma iti. How am I supposed to know it? A very, very valid question. That is our doubt also, isn't it? When we are first exposed to Vedanta, this is what happens. And there is nothing wrong because our mind is used to objectifying everything. If I have to accept the presence of something, if I have to accept the reality of something, I should experience it with one of my sense organs at least. I have to experience it. Or it should be something available to my mind to think about. If there is something which is not available to my sense organs, if there is something which is not available to mind or buddhi to even contemplate or think about, then I say that such a thing is not there. That is why the Buddhist philosophers who go by this nihilism, the Buddhist philosophers say Atma is Shunya. There is nothing called as Atma. This whole world is mithya, they also say, like us. The Buddhists also say the whole world is mithya, there is nothing there. It is purely an empty package and nothing is there. Fine, they also say that. But when it comes to Atma, what do the Buddhist people say? The Buddhists say that there is no Atma also. It is emptiness, it is zero, it is Shunya. So there is no world, There is no Atma, there is no individual, no Jiva, everything is a mere appearance, there is nothing is real, nihilism. This is called as Shunyavada. But Advaita is not Shunyavada. Advaita says that when everything has been negated, there is a consciousness principle which is aware that everything has been negated. There is a negator consciousness. There is a consciousness which has negated the five koshas. There is a consciousness which has negated the three bodies. There is a consciousness which is aware that I am not the body, a consciousness principle which is aware that I'm not the mind or the sense organs or the pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, the negator consciousness, which is aware of the presence of the body also, which is aware of the absence of something also. There is a knower. There is a knower which says, I'm not the body. There is a knower which says, I am the body. There is a knower which says this body is mithya and negates it. Who am I? I am that consciousness which is behind the negator. That consciousness Swarupa Atma I am, which is capable of seeing Abhava also. Supposing I ask you what is there, how many people are there in this room? There are two people in this room, I may say. If nobody is there, what do I say? There is nobody in this room when I say that. What is the meaning of this? I am aware of the presence of something also. I am aware of the absence of something also. So, what is this Atma? This Atma is that consciousness which is aware of what is present, which is aware of what is absent, which is aware of what is real, which is aware of what is unreal. Therefore, Vastu Asti, Atma iti Vastu, which is of the nature of consciousness Asti. That is what is going to be talked about in the future verses. I have taken this much time to make it clear as to what is mithya, and then when we negate the mithya anatma, it is not shunya, it is not the emptiness, there is something. There is a knower consciousness which is aware of the presence of something, which is aware of the absence of something also, and therefore that Atma I am, iti I don't know at present. The Shishya doesn't know this at present, therefore he asks the Guru, what is it? I don't know what that particular thing is. So in the next verse, in the 214th verse, the Guru is validating the Shishya's doubt, validating the Shishya's problem. And what does he say? Satyamuktam tvaya vidvan nipunosi vicharane ahamadi vikaraste tadabhavoyam apyan tadabhavoyam apyanu. So, what is the meaning of this verse? So, whenever a Shishya admits to a particular difficulty, the teacher does not laugh it off. The teacher does not take it in a very, very light manner. He takes it very seriously. And what does the teacher say? Satyam uktam tvaya. What you are saying is right, hey Shishya. When I was a Shishya, I also had the same problem. And of course, now as a Guru, it is difficult for me to make you understand that Atma is not emptiness, Atma is not Shunya, Atma is a presence. Atma is a presence of consciousness. It is a conscious presence. It's a light of consciousness. I, Ahamasmi, Ahamasmi. It is a light of consciousness. Everything can be negated. Everything can be absent, but there is one thing which shines, whether anything is present or not, whether I'm cognizing anything or not, whether I'm seeing anything or not. There is one thing which is present constantly. That is the light of consciousness and Atma. I also had the same problem in understanding. I also felt there is nothing to be seen, there is nothing to be understood, and there is emptiness. Satya Muktam Tvaya. Whatever you have said, Hey Shisha, it is absolutely correct. Hey Vidwan, he calls this person Vidwan or Vidwan, informed person. Hey Vidwan, why? Because he has come up till this inquiry. How many of us will last till the stage of this much of inquiry to this stage? We don't last. Many of these Vedanta students don't last till this state of inquiry because it is very subtle. With Sukshma Buddhi, it has to be understood. That is why in Kathopanishad it says, Atma is something to be understood. Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibihi. One needs a very, very subtle intellect, a prepared intellect, an intellect which is Chitta Shuddhi has been done, Chitta Naishchalyam is there, such a prepared intellect, a Jnana Yogyata Prapta intellect, a Jnana Yogya intellect, a subtle intellect is required to understand what this Atma is. So here he says that Satya Muktam Tvaya. Whatever you have expressed your doubt, it is very, very valid. Hey Vidwan, Nipunosi Vicharane. But you are very good in Vichara because you have seen this. You have asked me the correct question that I don't see the Atma. I don't understand where it is. I have negated the Panchakoshas. I have negated the Anatma as myself. But then where am I? Where is this me? Where is this I that you are talking about? Vicharane, which you are in Vicharane Nipunosi. In thinking, you are absolutely fine. This is basically to enthuse the student because whenever a difficult situation comes in Vedanta, we have always seen that in our Vedantic text, the teacher always encourages the Shishya. He says, Hey Somya, hey pleasing one, hey son, hey putra, hey son, Nipunosi Vicharane, just to create some enthusiasm in the student head, he doesn't lose interest. So create the enthusiasm. So what is this person saying? Nipunosi Vicharane. What you have decided, what you have inquired is right, but then have some patience and try to understand what I am trying to tell you. Ahamadi vikaraha te tad havo api ayam api anuhu. That means what? Even the abhava of something is that which is picked up by this Atma. You need a very subtle intellect to understand this, hey Shisha. But understand that just like you understand the vikaras, just like you are aware of the vikaras means what? The changing anatma, the modified, changed anatma. Annamaya is a modification, changing. Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, all of them are changing constantly, they are changing. So this vikara, this modified anatma, if you are aware of the vikaras, then that consciousness which is aware of the abhava also, who says the vikaras are not there? It is you, the consciousness. Who says that the vikaras are there? You, the consciousness. Who says I am the body? It is the ahankara agreed. But what is it? It is that consciousness which is aware of this body. It is that consciousness which is aware of the abhava also. In Jagrit Avastha, it is that consciousness which is aware of the presence of the body also. It is the same consciousness which is aware of the absence of the body in Nidra Avastha. In Nidra Avastha, where is the body? Where is the Sukshma Sharira? Where is the, Stula Sharira? Only Karana Sharira is there. But then there is something which is aware of the Abhava also. There is nothing. It is a blank. Nothing is there. Is also something which is known. So there is something. You are that Atma. Vikara, ahamadi vikara hate, tad abhavo ayam api anu. Means what? This Atma is the one which is aware of the vikaras also. It is the same Atma which is aware of no vikaras, absence of the vikaras also. It is the knower of the bhava, knower of abhava, knower of the presence, knower of absence. So, hey Shisha, you know that there is an abhava of body, mind, sense complex, they are mithya, that knower consciousness is you. May be difficult to understand initially, but one has to go on listening to it, abhyasa, again and again. That is why these things are repeated again and again. So that tvam padartha which you are is not an absence. It is not a zero. It is not that nothing is there. There is a pulsating consciousness which is aware of the presence of something also. It is the same pulsating consciousness, aham, aham, which is aware of the absence of something also. It is the same consciousness which thinks that this body, which through because of ajnana, the presence or there is that entanglement with the body. Behind this entanglement, the knower is the same consciousness. That the body is mithya. Behind this knowledge also, it is the same consciousness that is present. Then he says in the next verse, in the 214th verse, he says, सर्वे ये नानुभूयन्ते यस्वयं नानुभूयते तमात्मानं वेदितारं विद्धि बुद्ध्या सुसूक्ष्मया. You require a sukshma buddhi. Ultimately, all knowledge takes place in the intellect, isn't it? Even the knowledge of Atma, Anatma takes place in the intellect. The Atma is something which is lighting the intellect also. The Atma is self illuminating and it is illuminating the intellect also. But this knowledge that I am Atma and I am not Anatma, I am the Atma, I am not the Ahankara. That I, which I called as Ahankara, which was Ahankara, I am not that I Ahankara. I am not the false I Ahankara. I am the real I, the consciousness. It is where this knowledge takes place. This knowledge also takes place in the intellect only. So he says a person requires a very, very sukshma buddhi. Sukshmaya buddhya, susukshmaya buddhya. As I said, it is understood by a sukshma buddhi. Therefore, I have to go on listening. Pauna punena shravanam. Again and again, I have to go on ruminating over it. Mananam, nididhyasanam. Constantly, just listening once is not enough. Again and again, consistently, committedly, for sufficiently long period of time, I have to be with this. Then only this knowledge becomes real for me. Otherwise, this knowledge becomes merely an intellectual exercise. It does not become the reality for me. I have to be committed to it. I have to be with it. And I have to really sort of pursue it till I understand what it is. So he says, what is this Atma? It has to be known. Buddhya susukshmaya vidhi. Last three words, second line. Vidhi, may you know, may you understand. Susukshmaya buddhya. And then whom should you know? Veditaram. May you know this knower of everything. Veditaram, the knower of the presence, the knower of the absence. May you know this knower of the presence, knower of the absence by Sukshma Buddhi, Sukshmaya Buddhya. And what is that? Tam Atmanam Vidhi. May you know that Atma, who is the knower of the presence of something also, who is the knower of absence of everything also. May you know this Atma with a Sukshma Buddhi. And may you understand that, first line, Sarve Yena Anubhuyante. This is the experiencer consciousness of everything. Atma is that consciousness, that light of consciousness which experiences everything. Yaha swayam na anubhuyate. There is nothing else which can light this up. This Atma lights itself up and it is available because it is self revealing. It lights up everything, but nothing else can light it up. As I gave the example in the last session of this light itself, I don't have to bring in another light to see this light. This light is there, constantly shining. It is revealing itself and revealing everything else around it. If the whole room is empty, it reveals the emptiness. If the room is full of things, it reveals whatever things are there. Similarly, this light of consciousness experiences everything, but nothing can experience this light of conscious. Yaha swayam na anubhuyate. Neither can it experience itself, it reveals itself, and it reveals all the experiences. It reveals itself, and through all the experiences, it reveals my entire transactions. Therefore, survey, everything is experienced. The Atma is the experiencer consciousness. The consciousness behind every experience is this Atma. But this Atma is not objectified by anything. It objectifies everything, but it is not objectified by anything. Tam Veditaram Atmanam. This knower Atma, Vidhi, may you know, by Sukshmaya Buddhya, by a subtle intellect. And know it as what? Know that Atma to be yourself. Know that Atma to be of that very nature. Know that Atma to be yourself. And what is this Atma? In the next verse, in the 217th verse, the nature of the Tvam Padartha or Atma is again talked about, repetition again. What was talked about in Atma and Atma Vichara? The same thing is going to be talked about here. जाग्रत्स्वप्नसुषुप्तिषु स्फुटतरं योऽसौ समुज्जृम्भते प्रत्यग्रूपतया सदाहमहमित्यन्तःस्फुरन्नेकदा नानाकारविकारभागिन इमान् पश्यन्नहं धीमुखान् नित्यानन्दचिदात्मना स्फुरति तं Vidhi Swametam Hridi. Similar verse is there in Dakshinamurti Stotram. Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Avastasu Sputataram Ya Vijrambate. The same sentence is taken from Dakshinamurti Stotram only. It's the same sentence we find there. So he says, who are you, this Atma? Who you, this Atma, you are the knower of Jagrat Swapna Sushuptishu Sputataram Yaha Asau Samujrambate. In Jagrat Avastha also, you, the Atma, shines in objectifying all the Jagrat experiences. In the Swapna Avastha also, you, the consciousness, shines, which reveals entire Swapna Prapancha. In Sushupti Avastha also, you, the Atma, shines, revealing the absence of everything. And it, some Ujrambhate means it shines. Ujrambhate means it shines. This light of consciousness shines in and through all the avasthas, but it is niranjanam, it is not affected by any avastha. Pratyagrupataya, second line, sub pratyagrupataya, that which is the innermost, that which is the nearest, that which is nothing but me. What is nearest to me? Myself. What is that which is not different from me? The nearest to me. It is me, myself. Pratyagrupataya, sada, all the time. How does it manifest? Aham iti antaspuran ekadha. Constantly, it is pulsating within me as the light of consciousness. How? Aham, ahamiti. Ahamasmi, ahamasmi. I am. I exist. I exist. I exist. Iti ahamtaya. All the time, sada, all the time, even in deep sleep state, it is all the time that pulsing, that pulsating presence of consciousness is all the time. Sada ahamiti antas spuran ekadha, one light of conscious, one alone, constantly pulsating. Aham asmi, aham iti, constantly that which is the nearest to me, that which shines in Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti Avastha. Nana kara vikara bhaginah iman pashyan aham dhimukan. It is also the witness of all that I call as myself. So, Nana kara vikara bhagina iman. Nana kara vikaraha. Different kinds of vikaras are there. The body is a vikara. The prana is a vikara. Vikara means modification, changing. The manomaya is a vikara. Vijnanamaya is a vikara. Anandamaya is a vikara. I, the karta, is a vikari. I, the bhokta, the experiencer, vikari. So, nana, different kinds of vikaras of this entire world and body, mind, sense complex. It sees, starting from my ahankara. I am aware, this consciousness is aware of this ahankara also. We have already seen ahankara, vijnanamaya kosha is called ahankara also because it is the doer, it is the thinker, it is the knower. Therefore, the vijnanamaya, that is chidabhasa sahita buddhi, is called as ahankara or jiva. And this atma is the very witness of that ahankara also because I know I am. When I say I am doing it, I know I am doing it. When I'm seeing something, I know I'm seeing it. What is it that knows the seer, ahankara, I, the Atma? What is it that knows the doer, ahankara, I? I am doing this, I know. The ahankara is doing something. The ahankara is knowing something. But there is that knowing consciousness which says, I know I'm the doer. I know I'm the knower. I know I'm the seer. I know I'm the listener. That is why in Kenopanishad, this Atma is explained as Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat Vachoya Vacha Sau Pranasya Pranaha. This is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the the nose, the smelling, the nose of the nose, the prana of the prana, that which knows the prana, that which knows all the indriyas, that which knows all the vyavaharas of the indriyas, that which knows I am the knower, that which knows I am the doer, that which knows I am not doing anything, that which knows that I am doing something. This is that light of consciousness, which is the knower of Ahankara also. So, Nana Vikari, Vikara Bhagina Iman, Pashyan Aham Dhi Mukan. Aham Dhi means the wrong conclusion that I am the body, mind, sense complex Ahankara. This Vikara also, this wrong perception of mine also is known by this Atma. And what is the nature of this Atma? Nitya Ananda Chidatmana Spurati. Nitya, all the time. Nitya means eternal. Ananda Swarupi Atma. It is Ananda Swarupa Chidrupaha. Chidrupa Ananda Swarupaha. Sat Chit Ananda Rupa Atma. Nitya means Sat, which is all the time present. Chit means the consciousness Swarupi Atma. Ananda means of the nature of Purnatvam, of the nature of Ananda. So, who are you? You are not this body mind sense complex. You are Nitya Ananda Chidatmana Spurati. All the time you are shining as that consciousness, as that Atma. Tam vidhi, may you know clearly that you are that Sat Chit Ananda Atma Swam Yetam Hridi. And where should you know it? You should know it inside, within your heart itself. You should know. Because that is the place where this consciousness is constantly shining. That is why I say I. When I do this, when I say I do this. I show my heart because it is where the I consciousness, the I as consciousness is constantly shining. And may you know this consciousness to be, he said, Arjuna, Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. I, as the consciousness, Bhagavan Krishna said, is available in the heart, in the hridaya of every jiva. So, where can this consciousness, which is everywhere, be actually the upalabdhi, or where can I see it? Where can I experience that consciousness? That is something which is within this heart, within this hrid. So, hridi, in your own heart, this is available constantly pulsating ahamasmi iti satyam jnanam anantam atma satchit ananda atma, that which is the sakshi chaitanya or witness of jagrat swapna sushupti avastha sputataram, very clearly seen, that which is aware of all the vikaras, that which is aware of all the abhavas, and which is of the nature of Sat, Chit, Ananda Atma, that which is constantly in your heart pulsating in the form of Ahamasmi, Ahamasmi, Tam Swam Yetam Vidhi. May you understand you to be that. This is the Tvam Padartha description, which is the very same, very similar to what was talked about in Atma and Atma Viveka regarding Atma. Because as I said, Atma and Tvam Padartha are the same. Now in the next session, there is going to be description on the Tat Padartha. I said now the Mahavakya Vichara is started. What is you and what is that Brahman? What is Tvam? What is Tat? That Tat Padartha which was talked about from the 7th chapter to the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita was the Tat Padartha or Ishvara or Brahman. Tvam Padartha was also what was talked about 1 to 6 chapters. Jiva Swarupa. Tvam Padartha means Jiva Swarupa. Tat Padartha means Brahma Swarupa or Ishvara Swarupa. And ultimately, the two are brought in that great equation Mahavakya to show me that I am not different from that. The Tvam is not different from Tat. Tat Tvam Asi. Aham Brahma Asmi iti. That teaching has to come. So the Tvam Pada Vichara is over. In the next session, we'll see the Tat Pada Vichara or what is that Ishvara or Brahman. Is it the same Atma? Or is it something different? What is that Tatpada? What is that? What is God? What is Ishvara? What is Brahman? We talk about that Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, he says. Tattvamasi, they say. We are all aware of these sentences. But what is that Tat? What is that Brahman? What is the meaning of that? That is what is going to be talked about in the next session, which we will see next week. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत्